Man, I'm going to miss that tune when I start a new campaign late spring, early summer this year. And we have a whole new trailer and a whole new campaign and a whole new campaign song, but I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me. This is pretty late night for me, but I've been penciling, I've been inking all day long, and I got this box, this humongously heavy box full of stickers that I thought, you know what? I've got to do a live stream and open the box, show you guys the stickers. But before I do that, let's just see who's here. You know what? Darth Josh was the first one in the door. And you know what you get for that, Darth? You get absolutely nothing but my appreciation for being here. Oh, that's me saying hello to him. Of course, I'm here. Oh, look at this. Jeff, tell me if you have insomnia, maybe this would help you get to sleep easier. Just throwing that out there as a suggestion. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here. Let's see. Now, Bretsky the Great. I don't know that Bretsky. Are you a regular Bretsky? Have you been here before? Because if there's anyone here that has not been here before, I strongly recommend you watch this public service announcement. It was a little late on Frankenstein there, but it is, past my bedtime in some regions of the world. Paul says, I've been missing these last second live streams. Paul, so have I. But, the reality is, I'm so Italian. I always talk with my hands. The reality is, I am working away on Wraith of God. And if I don't do that, if I screw around and live stream every day like I used to do, I can't get anything done. So it's it's difficult because I do miss doing this, but I'm getting work done, getting the project to you guys faster. And so that's kind of the bottom line. But I'll try and squeeze a few more in these. But Paul, thank you. When you thirst for the above average, you go to Graham Nolan's stream. I was just talking to Graham, and he said for me to give you this. So just so you know, that's from Graham. Let's see. Lady Celtic Moon is here. Howdy, dear. Well, hello, dear. Thanks for joining us this late night. Let's see. Wiley Draws is here. Let's see. Cool. Let me see if I can do it. I must open the box. There's a man on the wing. I used to do Kirk pretty well. I'm kind of rusty. Okay. He said, Bretsky says, I watch all the time, but just started commenting. And I want you to know that I do get the Bretsky the Great. Of course, that's in reference to Wayne Gretzky, of course, one of the greatest hockey players of all time. I'm not a big hockey fan, but I am a big sports fan, so I do stay tuned in. I am aware of these things. Black Rose Comics is here. Jeff Stout's like, man, it is midnight here. What is going on? Well, it's midnight there, but it's only 9 o'clock here. So I still have 15 minutes before my bedtime. So, Paul, thank you very much. You've been very busy. The clips we've seen look outstanding. Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Let's see here. Leg Kick, Jeff Stout, Geek Avenger, Hail Comics Gate. The Geek Avenger is in the house. Adelson Reese. Reese Art, I know you've been here before. That Kirk impersonation wasn't half bad, Aaron. That's another way of saying it wasn't half good either. But, I'll take that. From you, Jeff, I'll take that. I see. Again, I'm home for the little Presti pop-up. John, I try to work my schedule around your schedule. My aunt dated Gordie Howe. Wow, that's pretty impressive. See, those are the kind of legendary stories you like to be able to tell. My aunt dated no one you've ever heard of. And I had a lot of aunts, but just no famous dating going on there. Okay, so one thing I wanted to share with you guys before we get to the stickers is, oops, look at this. This is a DC Comics hoodie. This sucker is like almost as old as I am. In fact, it has a hole in it. And I guess if it has a hole in it, I probably should toss it, right? But the nostalgia of this, it kind of keeps it hanging around. So and maybe there'll become that moment in like Mr. Mom, the Michael Keaton movie from like early 80s, where he has his sweatshirt that he loves and he wears it all the time until it's just disgusting. And he finally throws it in the fire and burns it. That may happen with this, but I'm hanging on to it for the time being because you just never know. Says, my dad said he looked like Frankenstein from all of his hockey fights. Of course, he's referring to Gordie Howe, not me. So anyway, I was at the grocery store today, and that's where I go when we run out of food. And surprisingly enough, even in Biden's America, there was still some stuff on the shelves. And I found this jar. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big sandwich guy, I've never lived in New York, but I've been there many, many times. And I always like to go to the sandwich shops in New York City because they have, these incredible sandwiches. I'm sure it's true of like at Philadelphia and Chicago and other big cities. But I really love pepperoncinis. Okay. And I saw this jar and it was pepperoncinis, but garlic and dill flavored. Are you kidding me? So I grabbed it and I am telling you, they're incredible. So they have like big cloves of garlic. Is that the right terminology? Floating in with the pepperoncinis. Tremendous. It takes pepperoncinism next level. So I want to recommend that to you guys. Yeah, I would just stop living at that point if you can't get chicken nuggets. We used to get chicken nuggets when our kids were little and have them in the freezer for, those special occasions. For like they have ones that are like dinosaur shaped. The kids used to love those. But now my kids are adults, so we don't get those anymore. But I do still get Cocoa Pebbles, which is still far and away the best chocolate flavored cereal you can get. Paper towels and toilet paper is just gone here. Now, see, I am not getting caught, pardon the expression, with my pants down again on the toilet paper thing. I buy, every time I go to the store, I buy a package, even if we don't need it. And so we have a surplus that'll last us for 6 to 8 years. No, we don't have that many, but excuse me. Pepperoncinis are coming back up. But no, I do have we're a little bit ahead on the toilet paper. So see, Paul agrees with me. He had a bag of Dino Nuggets. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. See, there's someone that appreciates the pepperoncini for sure. Geek Avenger. Okay, so there's one other thing I want to share with you. I thought, I haven't really. Everybody always asks me. Actually, no, they don't. No one has ever asked me this, but I buy a lot of old comics, right? And this year was a little bit leaner than some years, but I said, you know what? I should share the comic purchases I have made this past year. And so I pulled them all out and I was like, oh, there was a few more than I thought. So anyway, we're going to do that really quick just to kill time. And then I'm going to open the stickers. Maybe. So check this out. This is Tales of Suspense 99. Now, this is a near mint comic. I only buy a near mint any of these days, right? This is the last issue of Tales of Suspense. So Captain America spun off from this, and that's Captain America 100 is actually Captain America 1. And then Iron Man number 1 was right after this, the next month. So this is the last issue of Tales of Suspense, which is a old Silver Age series that I collect. Love it. Then I picked this up just because I had to get a comic. And I couldn't find one. I got to find, see, here's the thing. I got to find one that is of interest to me. Then I got to find one that's in high grade. And then I got to find one that I can afford or that I like the price of, right? So I picked up this issue of Doctor Strange, which is 173. Now, this is actually part 2 to this Dormammu storyline. It has a big old Dormammu head on it. This is from 1968-ish. That's a Dan Adkins cover, in case you're interested. So I picked this sucker up, and this is in beautiful condition, other near mint copy. So now I got to get 172 because it's the first part of this. So I kind of backed myself into a corner by buying that. Now, a little bit cheaper, I did get, check this out. That's a great Gil Kane cover. And you'll notice the box frame on the cover. They did this for about a year and a half, from like around 72 and 73 they did this. And you may say, gosh, Aaron, that looks familiar. Where have I seen that before? Well, you've seen it right here. As you can see, that's where I got the design for the Wraith of God cover B. It's from these Marvel's 70s covers that almost entirely Gil Kane seemed to have done. So it's a Gil Kane inspired thing. So anyway, I got this. It's not an expensive book, but it's a great cover. So I do collect really cool covers. I'm not a big Iron Man guy, but those are ones I collected. And check this out. Another near mint copy. This is Iron Man 74. MODOK in a big robot suit. Are you kidding me? How can you not love this? Now, I collect everything MODOK. In fact, I've probably said this before. I have all my MODOK pages from my work on Ms. Marvel because I love MODOK so much. So anyway, there's that. These are all the books I've got this past year. Oh. Wiley Draw says, I got a stack of Legion of Superheroes in the dollar box the other day. Steve Lytle was a very underrated artist. Yeah, he was really good. I do Journey into Mystery as well. I haven't picked up any recently because I am looking for most of the tales of the Journey into Mysteries I'm looking for. I want to get them in your mint, and I'm having a hard time finding them. So it's got to be a case when I find them. I'm in that situation where I've got certain ones that I'm looking for, so that makes it even harder. It's not just like any Journey into Mystery; it's certain ones. So anyway, so I got this Defenders because now the Wrecking Crew has kind of been sort of hot for some reason, and I don't know why. I've never heard them being announced in a television series or movie or anything, but these Wrecking Crew appearances are getting kind of hot, so these books are kind of inflated right now. But I bought this when I was a kid. I remember seeing this cover. It had Luke Cage on it. It had the Defenders. Had this, this big guy with a silver bullet helmet on there, the Wrecker, who I always loved. And so this was like one of my favorite comics when I was a kid. And so, of course, I don't have it anymore, but now I do again. So I picked this baby up. And that's actually the full, that's not the full first appearance. That's a 3-part story. I've got 2 of them. And that was one I recently picked up. Of course, I just showed this one on the live stream. This is the one I got from my new daughter-in-law. I'm sure my son had something to do in terms of helping her choose this, but this is Man-Thing fighting Daredevil, Spider-Man, Shang-Chi, and the Thing. The interesting thing about this comic is it says right here, because you demanded it, Man-Thing battles Spider-Man, Daredevil, Shang-Chi, and the ever-loving Thing. I don't think anybody ever demanded that, but there it is nonetheless. So I have almost an entire run of Man-Thing, but I had to get that one. This is another great Gil Kane cover in another of those box templates for the Invincible Iron Man. I got this from Christmas. This is from Shelley and my son, sort of combined effort to get this for me. And it's another near mint book, as all these are, but a great Gil Kane cover. Oddly enough, this is inked by Vinnie Colletta, and I'm not a huge Colletta fan. In fact, I don't like Colletta at all, but he did actually a pretty decent job on this one. So that's kind of a cool cover. So like I said, I'm to a point now in my collection where I'm buying covers I like, just to motivate me to buy something. Victor Thomas is in the house. Hey, Vic, thanks for joining us. Paul Brillards. Yeah, If This Be MODOK. There it is. It's MODOK with a K, though. That's what is it? Mechanical organism designed only, no, mechanical organism designed only for killing, something like that. Man Thing uses DD as a club. That's right. Which is kind of ironic since Daredevil has his own club. Yeah, let's see here. Scott Ruplin has dropped in to see the stickers, and we haven't got there yet, so you're still on time. You know, that's funny, but it's also true. All right, so let's get into a couple of CGC books that I picked up. Now, this one, I got this one. Of course, this is Thor 146. Now, the interesting thing about this started the backup stories in it. They had Inhumans backup stories in Thor, believe it or not. And in this particular one, they have the origin of the Inhumans. So I'm like, that seems to me like that should be, you know, a fairly collectible book. But it hasn't really shown up in terms of its value. You know, I got this for under $200 in a 9.2. But I keep thinking, you know what? Buy when the market isn't paying attention to certain books, and hopefully they'll come back and pay attention to the books later, and then you'll see a profit on them. But I do collect for love and profit, even though I hardly ever sell my books. But I occasionally do trade. So I always like to get a good deal. So that's kind of a cool book there. And that, of course, is Kirby inked by Coletta. Now, this was payment for, I did some beer labels for Bedrock City in Houston for their brand beer. And this is what I took in trade for it. Now, I had this already, but it had a subscription crease right down the middle of it. I got it like when I was early 20s at San Diego Comic-Con of all places. And I wanted a near mint copy of it. So they picked this up at a show they're at. And they said, hey, do you want this? And I'm like, yes. And so then we worked out the deal, and so paid in full for the second beer label I did. But anyway, this is Neil Adams all the way through and through. So you can't go wrong there. At least for me, I'm a huge Neil Adams fan. Okay, I got one more, and then we'll get to the stickers. Okay, so this great Daredevil cover with Dr. Doom guest starring, great black cover, again, 9.2. Now, there's nothing special about this comic other than the fact that it's a Dr. Doom crossover, right? But these Dr. Doom comics are starting to get hot again, maybe because of Fantastic Four movie speculation. I have no idea. But here's the problem with this. This is still relatively affordable, you know, around $200 or whatever. The second part to this story, which has a really great cover, a close-up of Dr. Doom's face, superimposed over, you know, a Daredevil's face. It's really cool. But that book is like going for $600, and I refuse to pay it. So here I have the first part to this, and now I can't get my hands on the second part because it's overinflated for no good reason. So it's pissing me off. Excuse my language. Oh, do I have to do that to myself? I probably should if I'm going to be consistent, right? So I did say piss off. So although probably not any little kids up watching this stream right now. Anyway, so here I am stuck with this issue of Daredevil, and with prospect of getting the second part to this not looking good because I refuse to pay $600 for a comic book that should be worth about $200. So we'll see. Maybe it'll equalize in Joe Biden's America. The price will drop a little bit. Let's see. There you go. Gene Colan is reason enough to get that. Well, that's true. And you know, the interesting thing, I was at MegaCon right near the end of my tenure at CrossGen, and Gene Colan was there, and he had Daredevil pages, and I didn't buy any. I'm just a freaking idiot sometimes. And they were affordable too. You know, they weren't like these, you know, $1,000. They were a couple $100, or it might have been $300 or something. But you know, when your kids are little, you're really careful about how much money you spend because you know you got to take care of your kids, right? And so it's like, but now I'm just like, God, what an idiot! I should have bought one. I also should have bought. I had a chance to get some. Well, as soon as I think of it, what's her name that drew Metamorpho? She was sitting right next to me at San Diego several years ago, and she had, I can't remember, I think she may have had some Metamorpho pages. I can't remember exactly what she had, and I didn't get those either. I was always so concerned about, making enough money to pay for my trip, just too responsible for my own good. Or I should have landed one of those pages too. Very ticked off. Well, yeah, I know that, but that shouldn't apply to collectibles, should it? You'd think people would be saving their money to buy groceries and not spending it on collectibles, but that doesn't seem to be the case yet. I picked up a Tomb of Dracula #1 years ago for $20, a near mint copy. Then I sold it for like 150 because I was never really into it. Although I wish I'd hung on to it because now it's like worth $1,200 or something ridiculous like that. That's true. That Daredevil issue does cross over into Fantastic Four afterwards, but still not paying $600 for it. I'm just not going to do it. Okay, I'm sorry, let me do this first. Ramona Fraden, that's exactly right. Thank you, Lewis. I know there's stacks of McFarlane Spider-Man and Hulk original art from McFarlane, $150 at my old comic shop. The good old days. Huh? I could have I was in Chicago at the tail end of the Ultraverse, but the trip cost me, I think, with my hotel and airfare and food and everything, cost me around $500, right, to go to Chicago. And I just made like $500 or $600, right, at the show, and that was it. So I'm walking around, and this dealer has a stack, and I'm not kidding, stack this high of EC, original art. And he had a splash page, or basically a half-page splash, of a Haunt of Fear issue that had the Old Witch on it for $500. And I was like, oh, I wanted to do it so badly, but I was like, how am I going to pay off this $500 trip if I don't use the money I made at the show to put on my Visa card? I'm going to be screwed. So once again, being responsible, I didn't get it, which is really the irresponsible thing because that thing's probably worth about 20 grand right now. Technically, Jeff, I have no problem with it because it's not considered restoration. Because technically you can, if you can clean the book without, damaging it, then, more power to you. And you can press a book yourself just by stacking it. I mean, I've had comic books that were wavy or, and I put them in my comic book box tightly fitted in there and didn't touch them for years and came back and they were flat. So I have no problem with that as long as if Overstreet and whoever's doing the grading is saying that's not restoration, then I'm fine with it. Randy, you're about to turn in and Aaron shows up. That's what I'm here for. Well, I'm not going to keep you too long. That's the truth. You need to make money. You need money to make money. Man, ain't it the truth? EC reprints Hellboy and Bone kept me in comics in the 90s. How about that? Do you think the prices will go down as superhero movies lose popularity? Man, I don't know what is going on in the collector's market, to be honest with you right now. It is so inflated right now, which doesn't make any sense, especially with inflation rising. You would think some of this stuff would drop back down, especially some of the books where you wouldn't consider key books, like that Daredevil issue we're talking about. I keep talking to dealers and I keep getting theories about, that it's extra COVID money and all this kind of stuff, but that extra COVID money should be long gone by now. So that's not the only thing that's fueling this. But I do believe a lot of people that buy high-end comics, and by high-end, I mean, several $100s and up, are usually guys that are not, working at, fast food places. They're engineers and computer people and people that, were comic book fans as kids, but have really high paying jobs that can work at home. So they haven't financially been affected by any of the shutdowns over the period of time, but they haven't been able to travel as much as maybe they would like to. So then they've got this extra money that they wouldn't normally have. What are they doing? Going to online auctions and jacking the prices up. So guys like me can't get good deals anymore. It just drives me nuts. Well, I think there's some truth to that too. When you're printing money and just dumping it into the economy with nothing to back it up, then, it's almost like funny money, right? Joe Bernardo, thank you, Joe. I appreciate that very much. We are moving along on Wraith of God, and I'm trying to show you as much as I can without ruining it for you. Okay, let's do it. Let's take a look at these stickers. It's time. Drum roll, please. I got to switch cameras. Boom. There it is. Ooh, there's the box. You can see it already. I'm going to turn this microphone a little bit this way so it can pick me up, I hope. Let's take a look. Okay, obviously the box is already open, but hang on a second here. Okay. So first off, what do we got here? These are, I went the route of doing, you could make like 1-inch stickers, 2-inch stickers, 3-inch stickers, 4-inch stickers. I thought I almost did 4-inch, but that's awfully big and they were super expensive. So I just opted with 3, which I still think is a good size sticker. There's so much plastic here. Let me get some of these out of here. Now I went with, what the heck is the opening on this? It's insane. Seriously. Oh, there it is. Okay. Jeez. Okay. So these are matte finish. They're not, see, you can see they're not reflective and glossy because I hate that. These are all matte finish. So these are the Empire Comics stickers. Okay, pretty cool, right? Die cut. Looks like they're pretty evenly cut around the edges, which you never know. This wasn't the most expensive sticker place, but they were they weren't the cheapest either. But I'm really happy. These are nice vinyl stickers. Real happy with the quality of this. But anyway, oops, sorry. So anyway, there's your Empire Comics sticker. Now these are stickers that if you backed Wraith of God, you get one of every one of these stickers. Okay. So those are the Empire Comics stickers. That was, I believe this was the very first stretch goal, like $20,000 or something like that. So everybody gets one of these. You can imagine how many stickers are in there. And the reason I ordered these before the campaign was over is because I had to spend some of the money for tax purposes. It still didn't help me as much as I would have liked, but I bought what I could. And so I estimated, of course, I overestimated how many orders I thought I might have when ordering these. Okay, these are the Power Cubed stickers. You guys are, obviously I can't get to the comment section right now, so that's why I'm not responding to comments, but we will before this is over. Okay, again, these are all matte finish, right? So you're not going to have any crazy reflection in here. But this is Power Cubed. Oops. Again, 3-inch sticker. So it's got the whole gang on there. Some of this is some I commissioned new art for, and other ones I used existing stuff. This is actually the cover art to Power Cube number 2 miniseries I did to Dark Horse several years ago. Let's see what else we got here. Oh. This is the Nightclub. Oops, sorry. Nightclub sticker. Nightclub is the super team that appears in the Garbage Man trade paperback. And we'll get a little bit more information on that in the epilogue to the Wraith graphic novel. There's a 3-page epilogue that sort of ties everything in together. Anyway, that's a Nightclub. That's David Williams' art, colors by me. So that's kind of cool. So the reason I did these sticker set was because as a kid, I remember getting a sticker set. And I don't remember, I might have got it like at Kmart or someplace like that. When I was a little kid, that had all these Marvel stickers in it, right? And I remember just peeling all these stickers off and sticking them on like furniture and stuff like a dummy. I should have kept them in their package for, you know, collectability, because I am a crazy collector. But I stuck them all over the place, but I thought, wouldn't that be cool if we did a sticker set for Wraith of God? And so that's what we're doing. So what do we have here? We have, this is Garbage Man. Again, a beautiful matte finish. Okay, now this is me, inked by Danny Mickey, colored by me. This is a pinup that's actually only, the only time it ever got published was in the Garbage Man trade paperback. And they put it on like the last page of the book. There's like a gallery back there at the end of the trade paperback. And so anyway, that's in there. And I think that's pretty cool as well. So, so what else we got? We've got, oops, let me get this. Sorry for all the plastic rustling noises. Let's see what else we got here. This, of course, is the Wraith of God sticker that the controversial Mike S. Miller drew for me. She did this on a live stream sketch show, and it turned out so good. I was like, dude, I want that to use that for a sticker. So that's, oops, sorry. That's Pencils and Inks by Mike, and then I colored it, which I think is a pretty groovy image, as you can see. So that's the only place this will be published is on this sticker, so that makes that pretty cool. And then I think, what do we got here? We got Kit Carter. Now, I was going to do an original piece for Kit Carter, but I just didn't have time. So I took an existing image I had, oops, for a one of the Kit Carter prints I did a few years ago, and used that for the art on the sticker. Oops. So we got Kit. No Merv the Astro Chimp, but I'll get to that in a minute. So there's Kit Carter. These are all, like I said, these are pretty good sized, you know, 3-inch stickers. You know, so, you know, I'm giving you guys good stuff here. This really feels kind of heavy duty. Now, I haven't peeled one off yet because I don't want to, I don't know how many of these I'm actually going to need. So hopefully I won't have to go back to press to fill out the orders. But anyway, so that's it. So what are we looking at here? We've got 5 character stickers plus the Empire Comics logo sticker. Well, I owe you guys one more sticker. So what I'm planning on doing is I have one more sticker to get made, but I haven't done the art for it yet because I'm still waffling back and forth on what character I'm going to use. And I am going to use a character or a potential series that you guys have never seen before, never heard of. So that'll be kind of fun. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're just going to have to wait until the package shows up with all your stickers in it. So what you're getting is everybody that backs Wraith of God at any level, any perk, you're going to get 6 stickers, all from the Little Prestiverse, plus the extra Empire Comics logo stickers. That's 7 stickers for that sticker set. And then, of course, there's the Esther trading card. There's the Wraith of God trading card that only goes to the people that signed up early. And I made some available on a secret perk tier for those who wanted to buy it. And I think they're like $5 or something until the supply is out, because I only printed 1,000 of them. Then the other thing we have coming your way is a print that everybody's going to get, a mini print. I haven't done the artwork for that yet. You saw me lay out probably at some point in the past the pencil art for basically it's a preview of the next Wraith story. So it has the kind of the bald Nosferatu vampire and Esther and the Wraith on it. And that's going to be a painting So I probably won't even get to that till February. But once I start working on it, I'll be doing videos of me actually working on it. So you can see my painting technique and whether it's any good or if it sucks. We'll find out because I haven't painted in a while. So the other interesting thing that I'm thinking of is, well, let me check the chat real quick. Eric Guapo, he's a big party pooper. He hates stickers, so he's going to be throwing a fit. Let me see here. Look at Joe asking questions that I'm not going to answer, at least not yet. Whole matter proofed the sticker wrapper. Yeah, well, maybe, just maybe you should proof this. What does Paul have to say? Reminds me of the tick logo in the animated series. Okay. Devil dinosaur. Yeah, except Kirby didn't draw dinosaurs as good as me. It's true. Cannonball. Yeah, may have to. Joe, I want to know the story behind the Power Cubed. Well, you have to buy the trade paperback, I guess. I don't have any more. I bought all I had from Dark Horse. You can still get them secondhand on Amazon, I think. Not too expensive either, I don't think. Me too. Power Cube sounds interesting. Basically, Power Cubed is this teenage 18-year-old kid who, well, I don't want to ruin the story for you, but he gets access to this alien technology that allows, it's a matter transformer, so you can like turn a car into a robot, or, you know, turn a toaster into a, you know, a small car, or, you know, whatever. So it's there's an evil Nazi scientist, which is kind of fun, and secret agent, Claire Covert. It's a humorous, you know, but it was a 4-issue miniseries through Dark Horse. You can get if you want the comics, you can get them on eBay pretty cheaply, or if you want the trade paperback, you can get that probably on Amazon, but it'd be used at this point because they don't have any new ones left. But there you go. I did have 80 copies available through the campaign, but they sold out, so I have none left. Let's see. Here's Lewis dropping knowledge. Power Cube was originally called Atomic Toy Box. Aaron published the first issue through Image in 1999, but it stalled. He renamed it Power Cubed, and Dark Horse published it years ago. There you have it. That's the actual truth. Yes, there is a trade. I think I just answered that. There will maybe, yes. Let's see. Do you remember the little 2.5 by 2 inch mini comics of the Hulk, Spider-Man, and Captain America from the early 80s? I do not, because I wasn't paying that much attention in the 80s. I was a 70s kid. I graduated high school in 82. So I really quit being a serious comic, well, not a serious comic buyer, not a collector. I always stayed that, but a serious new comics buyer. Probably around when I turned 16, got a car, and had to start spending my money on girls instead of comics. And then I got back into it in the late 80s. So there's this kind of period of in the early to mid 80s where I didn't buy a lot of books, new books. Let's see, where are we at here? Here's a theory. No Thanks says, I think part of the reason for collectibles going up is that the type of person that was into collecting is also the kind of person who bought Bitcoin, so they're selling a few Bitcoin for toys. Yeah, I mean, there's some money coming in from someplace, that's for sure. But what'd they do? Peel the back and stick it on the book? How did that happen? That won't happen. What I would do is I will put a backing board on your book, and then I would slip the stickers on the other side of the backing board from the book itself. Okay. And of course, if anybody gets anything screwed up, just let me know and I'll send you a new whatever it is. Let's see. Oh, I've got Keon art coming. It's for a title page inside the book. At the end of the Wraith of God regular story, which is, I'm trying to think, I think it's 72 pages. Okay. So you get to the end of that story, the graphic novel. Then there's an epilogue, which was part of one of the stretch goals. And what that does is it sort of ties in the whole Garbage Man nightclub, Wraith of God universes together, sort of. At least it gives you a little. It's like it's like an extra scene at the end of an Avengers movie or something, right? So it gives you some information that you will blow your mind. So I didn't want the story to end, the graphic novel to end, and then you just like go right into the epilogue. I wanted something to separate the epilogue from the end of the Wraith of God graphic novel. So that's going to be a Dale Keown basically splash page, or, basically a title page there that'll say, epilogue on it. And then you turn that page over and then you'll read the 3-page epilogue at the end. Yeah, my next campaign, I might use him for a variant as well. So we'll see. We'll see how his schedule looks. Wasn't Ray supposed to have a variant? Did someone cancel? Yeah. I don't want to get into that again, but yeah, so that's, well, technically they're all variants. I just did them all. But the Esther cover, I can tell you right now, is going to have a significant lower print run than cover A is going to have the largest print run. Cover B is going to have the second largest. And then the Esther cover will have the lowest print run of all of those, just based on how many orders I've got for each one. And so that will be the, it's odd because it's always the one that's the least popular becomes the most collectible, right? Because it's the one that's printed the least of, whether it's a toy, comic, whatever. So that will be, the Esther book will have the lowest print run of any of the covers. So technically they're all, I guess you could consider them variants, but I'm not doing, if I do a variant cover, I'm not doing like a lower print run on it. It's just going to be to order. So if I, like my next campaign, if I have Dale do a cover for it and his cover gets ordered more than my covers do, then that'll be the one with the biggest print run, will be the Dale Keown cover. And then my covers would then essentially become the variants, right? Because they would be less available. So there you have it. Yeah, I would actually do that. What you'll find in the Wraith of God graphic novel, one of the stretch goals on there was a bullet, like a bullpen bulletin page. If you remember those from Marvel, right? They would have like, it would say item, and then it would like give you a description of these basically different books that were coming out that month. So I'm going to do that, but it's going to be descriptors of all of the Loprestiverse books. Now, granted, all of them are not coming out, at least not, I mean, hopefully they all will, but they're all not going to be coming out, but immediately, but you'll get a description of all the different Loprestiverse characters and coming books in this bulletin page, and it'll have a value stamp just like the old Marvel days. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see. Who, Dale? No. Dale wasn't. The person that was originally going to do my variant got a little, oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, he got some bad commentary, so he was a little nervous about it, so I just let him off the hook. Do you know how many comics you have total, or do you not care how many? In my personal collection, about a little under 1,500. Yeah, I know, but that doesn't really suit her character. So I got to remain true to the character. I'm not just going to cheesecake it up for sell a few more books. Um, but the next campaign, there's going to be probably be a Kit Carter, although she's fully covered, but skin tight suit. So, what's the difference? There'll probably be a Kit Carter cover in there. I might do 4 covers next time. The interesting thing, what I'm going to do next time, I think, with my campaign and stretch goals, is I think I'm going to do a collector's card set, right? And every time we hit a stretch goal, I add another card to that set. So you get this entire Loprestiverse card set if we hit all of our stretch goals, which I think would be kind of fun. Because it's kind of hard to sit there and figure out, okay, what can I do for the next stretch goal? Well, if I put together a card set and we have to hit each stretch goal to get the entire card set, I think that would be cool. And I'm going to make probably I was going to make the Kit Carter one the hard one to get. It would be for signups only, but I might do that with Merv the Astro Chimp. I might give him his own card and make that. And Merv, of course, is that monkey right back there on the banner, standing behind Kit. So Kit Carter may just be one of the regular stretch goals, but Merv might actually be the special card you get if you sign up early. So I might do that. We'll see. Yeah, that was Jim Silk's. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the wrong one. That's not what I wanted to show. It's fine if you do the variants. Every time I see your work, I think it reminds me of one of my favorite artists. Then I realize it's actually you who's the favorite artist. Thank you. That's very kind. I appreciate that. This is what I was looking at. How about Esther figure from the variant as the corner box on future issues alternate with the Wraith like cap and shell head? That's actually a really good idea. The problem is the Esther cover isn't the Marvel cover. The Marvel cover is cover B with the one I showed earlier with Esther the Wraith and the werewolf on it in the box. That's the one that has actually the little figure up in the top. But if I do another one similar to that, and I might in the next campaign, that's kind of a clever idea. I like that. I might do that. Of course, I'll send you no money for the idea, though, but thanks, Paul. I appreciate it. Yeah, let's see what else we got here. Yes, that was a print. Actually, I think I still have some of those left. There's 11x17 print of that. It's called Warrior Nouveau, and that was basically just do something different. You know what? That is such a good idea. That cigarette card box. I love that. But that would be like wood or something, wouldn't it? It cost a fortune. I wonder how much they do cost. I should look into that because it probably wouldn't take that much to crowdfund it. It'd probably only be, of course, it'd depend on how many people order it, of course, but it might be doable. That would be cool. Get the entire card set, then have like a old cigarette box to put the cards in. It's cool thinking. You guys are creative. I love it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking right here. The Prisma Monkey card is doing something kind of special with the Merv Astro Chimp card and making it, like not holographic, but how they do them like shiny chrome or whatever, something like that might be really cool to do. So yes, Merv the Elusive Monkey card. No, but I am going to do other throwback Marvel type covers. I might go back to the 60s on one. I might do an EC riff on one of them because the next campaign, if everything goes the way I think it's going to go, we're going to have this anthology, but it's not an anthology like, say, Graham's Two-Fisted Tales. It's going to be, they're going to be like full issues. So you have like 3 full issues, and then there'll be a Kit Carter thing also in there. So you'd have 4 different things. But they'd be like full stories, like 20, 22-page stories. And there'd be a Wraith of God story, a Garbage Man story, and a Nightclub story, right? Because all those things, and it's a way of taking steps to eventually combine the universes into one cohesive unit, so that you would have crossovers and things like that. But it takes a few things to build that. And rather than doing another issue of Wraith, for example, right, and doing like another 68-page or whatever Wraith story, I thought, well, I can do a 20-page Wraith story. I can do a 20-page Garbage Man story, 20-page Nightclub story. And you guys are going to want more Nightclub, I guarantee you. And those things will all be loosely connected. They won't be just like, random stuff. They're going to be occurring in the same universe. And then the third crowdfunded project, stage 3, if you will, that's when everything comes together in one big thing. So I got this all planned out, and if everything goes, according to plan and goes smoothly, we might see the stage 3 crowdfunded near the end of next year. It depends on, or about this time in 2023. So we'll have another one. Stage 2 will be coming out in the spring, or be launching in the spring, like around May sometime. And then at least the signups for it will. And then it'll go live in like June or July or something. And then once I get that done, then of course stage 3. So rather than just sticking with Wraith to the completion of the Wraith thing and then trying to introduce new characters, I'm going to do them all at once, which I think is the best way to do it. So you guys will still be getting, 68 pages for your money, but it'll be with 3 different characters that all are leading you down a path to one collective universe. So Nightclub premieres. They're a super team that premieres in the Garbage Man trade paperback. But if you weren't able to get a Garbage Man trade paperback, or you're not able to get one, it's not the end of the world. They're just introduced in there, but you'll get, when I do stage 2 with an actual Nightclub story, all the stuff that, that you'll get in the Wraith of God campaign will make sense. So Jeff, thanks for hanging with us. Good night. Sleep well. Wait a minute. Aaron, is that figure in the background by the Wonder Woman banner, is that a Huff based on your figure in the background? That you talking about Rusty big guy and Rusty the Robot is what that white thing back there. Yeah, that's big guy. That was that Jeff Darrow, I think, did that for Dark Horse. There are no concrete plans at this point. The thing is, with CG, which a lot of people don't get, is that Malin described it to me in the best terms possible. It's an umbrella for a bunch of independent creators to operate underneath, but we're not connected in any way that would lead us to do something like Image or something like that. I think there's just too many guys doing too many different things. And as soon as you do something like that, then you're suddenly taking responsibility not only for the creations of somebody else, but also the behavior of somebody else, which sometimes can be good, sometimes not so good. So I think CG will stay as these sort of this umbrella that a bunch of different people, can operate under with freedom to do what they want to do. And then it's up to each of the individual creators sort of to create their own universe, if you will. Let's see. Hulk, not Huff. What Hulk figure are you seeing other than that big guy? I don't see a Hulk figure. There's Garbage Man back. You're talking about you're not talking about the banner. You're actually talking about an action figure. You've stumped me. Random thought here for cheesy fan pandering. CG crossovers, Wraith, Esther, somehow crossing paths with Vlad and Lilith from Malin's Graveyard. Anything's possible. The problem, again, with it is everybody's kind of doing their own thing, and it's kind of like, unless someone just kind of said, I'm not really sure what to do with my next project, then you could say, oh, let's do a crossover. But if you've got plans, like I do, then I wouldn't want to get sidetracked doing something like that, as cool as it might be. And then, because it takes us, you're looking at 6 months to a year, depending on who the creator is, to get one of these things out. And so, you get some of these guys that take them 5 years to do 5 projects, right? So it's like, you've got to use the time you've got to get your stuff out there if you have, a bigger vision like I do. Now, if something happened to me, like happened with Ethan, where I, raised $1.5 million, well, then maybe my position changes and I'm like, okay, I can do a couple books now because I can hire people to do the books because I wouldn't be able to do all of them, but I can get more books out doing something like that. But, who knows? I'm a long way from that, but, we'll see. Okay. Pork Hunt sends me $5. Thanks, Pork. I appreciate it very much. Besides Wraith, what is your favorite comic issue you've done? Well, the Garbage Man stuff I thought was really, really good. I thought most of my Mystic stuff at CrossGen was really strong. But I really thought, in terms of storytelling and finished art, for the most part, I always say that with a bit of hesitancy because I don't know if there's a book that I put out that I was really, really super pleased with, 100% of it. But when I did the Dark Multiverse book, the Infinity Crisis, it was Infinity Crisis, a Dark Multiverse, was basically kind of centered on Blue Beetle and kind of peripherally the Justice League. There's some really good stuff in that. And I actually did a video. If you check my channel, if you're interested in this kind of thing, there's 2 things. You've got the live streams, which I'm doing right now, obviously, and then you've got the posted videos. And if you check under posted videos, I did a storytelling video. It's about 15 minutes long that sort of breaks down some of my pages in my work on Infinite Crisis. So I did put a lot of thought into the storytelling and the visually and thematically and all the things that were going on in that book. So it's something I'm really sort of proud of. If I had to look at a single issue, it'd either be that one or going way back to my What If that I did with What If Avengers Disassembled when I was at Marvel. And mainly because I got to draw practically every character in the Marvel universe. So there's some really cool art in there as well. But those would be the 2, I think, that probably stand out as single issues. CG is a loosely connected gang of bakery enthusiasts. Some enjoy pie. Others are more comfortable with Long Johns. I love pie. I do. Bretsky's like I love sludge. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That was probably what I'd consider the first professional work I did in the industry. I was really sort of meandering until I got that big break on sludge. Planet Hook was awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That really was an honor. I mean, and I'm not being facetious. It was really an honor to work on that book because I look at Planet Hulk very similarly to what Simonson did with Thor and Beta Ray Bill's saga. That Planet Hulk really that's like the best Hulk story ever written. And I got to draw, almost half of it. So pretty pleased with that. Paul says the Dark Multiverse was excellent. Good video too. That's how I found it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Paul, Mystic storytelling is one of my favorites. Thank you. I spent a lot of time too on doing storytelling things. In a lot of projects there's deadline pressure and you tell the story clearly, right? That's always my goal, but you don't necessarily always tell it inventively, right? I think in Mystic, I did a lot of inventive storytelling, and I think I did that on Garbage Man, and I think I did that in the Dark Multiverse. So when I had time to do stuff like that, and I think also probably in my Batman Legends of the Dark Knight? Yeah, Legends of the Dark Knight story I did that I wrote, penciled, and inked. That has some interesting stuff I did in the storytelling, and I probably have a video of that up too someplace. Your Mystic run across him was great. I liked it better than Brandon Peterson's run. Is there any of those characters you wish you had ownership of? Not really. Mystic, I think has potential because obviously is this sexy female Doctor Strange, right? And Disney bought that stuff, Marvel owns it, and they did nothing with it. And I fail. It always amazes me when these companies absorb other characters and then just kill them. They bury them and just say, we're not going to use them. It's like, you spent money on them, might as well use them. See if you can, make some more money on them. And I think there was a fan base there that really kind of liked that stuff. Problem with CrossGen was they just expanded too much. We had all their books were selling between 15 and 25,000, which isn't great, but for a startup, it's not bad. All those books launched at over 20,000, which is pretty good. But then because everything was in-house and we all had health insurance, we were all salaried, so it was just a really expensive business model and one that really couldn't be sustained long-term. And then when they expanded too quickly, that really killed it. But anyway, Loved Lord Pumpkin. Check out Lord Pumpkin's Zero issue if you haven't seen that. I inked a few pages in there. And Lord Pumpkin was like a sideshow freak in the circus. And I did a splash page in there that I actually inked myself. It's so Wrightson-ish. It's just uncanny. So if you have it sitting around, go back and check out that splash page of him as the ringmaster, because that's the page I inked myself. Gary Martin inked most of that, but I inked a few pages myself because he got behind, or I don't remember what happened. So I pick and choose, of course, the pages I really wanted to ink. It's interesting you should say that because, yes, I do wish I had Lord Pumpkin back, and I'm figuring out ways that I can do my own Pumpkin character, then I don't have to, just name him something else, right? Planet Hulk seemed inspired by the old Hulk story I loved with Jarella. I later realized both were inspired by John Carter. Am I imagining things? Both were great. Here's an interesting story for you. I don't know. You'd have to ask Greg Pak that. That's one thing that I never talked to him about, was what his inspiration was for that. But I had turned in a proposal when I was just breaking in, when I was still doing for Marvel, which would have been early 90s. So I had like no clout. I mean, I was just breaking into the industry, but I was always thinking ahead, and I was like trying to create projects for myself and not really understanding at that point that I wasn't anywhere near good enough that they would even consider letting me write and draw, my own thing. But I turned in a proposal for a Gladiator Hulk story where he was kidnapped to another planet and became this gladiator on this planet, and really dug it because it would just, he fit in perfectly there. And nothing, of course, ever came of it. And then, 10 years later, here comes Planet Hulk, right? And you go, wow, that seems really similar to what I proposed. But I'm sure it's just coincidence. Is it? But anyway. Pork Hunt says, have Lord Pumpkin Zero, including the variant and with you on the Bernie vibe, but that was in the design too. Yeah, it was. But that one page I think is particularly Wrightson-ish. You are correct. That was a Harlan Ellison penned story. And actually, I did like a, I don't know what you'd call it, an additional story that tied into Planet. It was a Planet Hulk story, but it wasn't part of the main narrative. but it did like give you some information about Planet Hulk. And I did it in giant size Hulk, and has a great Ryan Sook cover with the champions on the cover. And then there's like a little, down at the bottom, a little panel, Planet Hulk story in there. So there was like this champions and Hulk story. And then there was this backup story that was like 10 pages, I think, that Greg Pak wrote, I penciled, and Danny Mickey inked. And it had Jarella in it and a few other things. It was really cool. And so if you don't have that as part of your Planet Hulk collection, I don't know if it's in the trade or not. I'd have to go look, but that giant size Hulk would be a great addition to your Planet Hulk reading. Yeah, it's coming up with a name, Lord Gord. How would that be? Thank you, Frankie. What the heck is Lord Pumpkin? Look it up on Google. Just put Lopresti Lord Pumpkin and your questions will be answered. Well, it depends on if the Hulk lets him out or not, right? I mean, that was kind of the shtick with Planet Hulk, is he was Hulk the whole time and Banner couldn't get out. So, you know, all that mattered was what Hulk wanted, not what Banner wanted. Actually, you know what? There was a, you remember Hero Magazine? I did a 5-page story. Dan Danko wrote it because he was the creator of Lord Pumpkin, the writer. You know, I visualized it, but he created the character as the writer. And so he wrote this. It was, I don't know, 5 pages, I think, 5 or 6 pages, and it was in Hero Magazine. And it was shot from my pencils. It was never inked, and colored by Albert Calleros, who was George Cox was really good too, one of the colorists at Malibu, but Albert was like the guy, and he colored that, and it's sensational. So it's actually really cool because it's, you can tell it's shot from my pencils, but it's not offensive in any way, like, oh, this should have been inked, but it's kind of cool. So I do think in the Hero Magazine, I think it printed really super dark, and then they reprinted it in, what did they reprint it in? It was in one of the Sludge issues, or it might have been Lord Pumpkin Zero, although I don't think it was. They reprinted it somewhere, and the printing was better, so it wasn't as dark. But anyway, that's just for, you know, nostalgia's sake. Hey, there's Roland Man. He agrees. He knows all about Malibu. I should have you, Roland. I should have you on my Sunday show sometime. We should just talk about Malibu, because there's so many good stories, yeah, in all of that. And of course, I've had Dave Olbrich on before, and we've talked about Malibu. But it seems like that's a part of comic book history that we can never get enough of, you know. And those of you who didn't see my Sunday show last week, I interviewed J.C. Vaughn, who is the VP in charge of publishing at the Overstreet Price Guide. And they're coming out with a guide to the lost universes or something like that, that talks about Malibu and Valiant and cross-gen and all these other things. So that might be of interest to you guys too. So keep your eye on the Gemstone website for when those books are out. But I'm kind of excited about those to see that, because I thought that would be kind of cool. Jack-o'-lanterns were originally made from turnips. Dear Lord, how big were the turnips? You tell me there's turnips this big? I don't believe you, Randy. I think you're making stuff up, trying to get me to buy into it. There you go. Roland would love it. Okay, we'll do it. We'll get you on. Which makes me, I just confirmed Kelly Jones will be joining me this Sunday. So after Shelly and I do our ridiculous shtick for about 30 minutes, Kelly will be dropping in and we'll be talking about his career, probably a little bit about Bernie Wrightson as well, since we're both kind of Wrightson honks. So that'll be really, really cool. So, and then I got to work on getting Dale back and Brohawk back and do a sketch off live stream between me, Dale, and David Williams. That would be good fun too. So I'm working on that as well. So we're trying to up our game in 2022 and make sure we have, guests to entertain you folks. Because I can't, I don't have the acerbic wit that Ethan does. So I'm not going to try and do what he does on his show. We got to do our own thing. And so that's kind of the route I'm going to go, is Shelly and I be doing dumb things for about a half hour and then bring a guest on that, or do a sketch stream or something like that. So, so Kelly Jones this weekend, don't miss it. It should be really, really cool. Let's see. I don't think it's in Planet Hulk trade. It says Exile, Banner War, Anarchy, and Legions. And then interesting that they wouldn't put that story in there, but there's been so many. There's like a hardcover too, which I've got. It might be in that. I don't know if they're all the same. All the Planet Hulk trades. I don't know if they're all the same. God, I keep burping up that those pepperoncinis. What's the reason the Malibu stuff, Sledge Prime, etc., were never collected or restarted? Was it rights issue? That's an excellent question too. I've asked that of Dave Olbrich many times, and Roland Mann would know too. There's many theories involved, but one of them is, and I believe Roland touched on this because I was in a joint interview with him a while back, that there's certain creators and certain people tied into those characters, and so there's number one, they'd have to pay extra incentives to the people that created those characters, as well as dealing with perhaps some people that they don't want to deal with, that they would have to deal with if they were to use those characters. So all in all, it appears to be too much a pain in the butt for Marvel to even consider, especially considering they probably don't believe there's any real benefit financially to bringing those characters back. You got Spider-Man, you got Thor, you got Fantastic Four, you got Captain America. Where do they need, Malibu characters for it when it's going to cost them extra money and be more of a pain to deal with than just doing their own stuff? And I think that's the reality of it. Now, there is a lot of speculation that because DC put in an offer on Malibu to buy the Ultraverse, and then Marvel came in over the top because they didn't want DC to buy them, so they bought them just to keep DC from getting them. I think if DC had actually bought them, they would have used them, and you might have seen series, Prime and Sludge and Nightman and some of these other kind of cool Malibu characters might have had a second life at DC Comics. I really think DC would have used them, but that's not how it went. So I am cruel. I am. It is. I like to embarrass people, but I got a feeling Dale would probably be the one embarrassing me. And David's always good. He's always a threat. Your insomnia pays off. Let's see. See, now Danky Frankie's backtracking. He goes, oh, maybe it's in there. I didn't look really that closely. What about just joining us? I think Roland is confirming what I just said, because I think I'm basically parroting what he said on the last time we did an interview together. So, or maybe he's just responding to this question. But yes, they are owned by Marvel and buried by Marvel. I'll tell you this, working at Malibu was the most enjoyable time I've ever had in comics. Um, there's not a person there that I worked with that I didn't like, both editorially and creatively. Gerber was a pain in the butt, but he was doing tremendous work. So you can't fault the guy. Um, when he's, if he's being a pain in the butt and then doing crappy work, that's one thing. But because he was a pain in the butt and because he didn't get his scripts turned out in time, I got to write several issues of Sludge, which really was helpful to me. So, I really I can't complain. I loved it. I didn't want it to end. I didn't want to leave. But what do they say? All good things must come to an end. Joe, of course, confirming what all of us already know. You did not lose the Fragtober Challenge. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I see. But although that brings back the horrid memories, right? So of the pain and suffering. Is this just poor overstating the obvious? Steve Gerber is passed. Englehart Morgan copies and wearing George Jones is in jail. Yeah, every one of those things is true. Here's a little story for you. I was sitting on a bus. It was a Malibu thing, and I can't remember where we were at and why we were getting bussed around. But I was sitting in front of Englehart and Howard Chaykin were sitting behind me. And so I was turned talking to them. Of course, the three of us were talking. And I remember Englehart, he goes to Chaykin. There was a long conversation about, drugs in the 70s and WonderCon and all this kind of stuff. And then Englehart's like, so did you read my first couple issues of Strangers, I think is what he asked him. And Chaykin's like, when do I have time to read your comics? And then Englehart, with this kind of pouty look in his face, goes, well, I always find time to read all your comics. And then Chaykin goes, okay, I'll read it. I promise. I thought that was really funny. But so, yeah, I mean, there was, Roland points out James Hudnall's also passed away. So it's, yeah, it's bittersweet memories, right? I mean, it's amazing at how much time has gone by and how much has changed since then. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how old Steve is now, but I saw him at a con not just a couple of years ago, and he looked old. And I don't mean that to be mean, but it may just be that he's just retired. I mean, you get to a point and it's just kind of like, man, why would you want to burden yourself with the stress and stuff like that? It just, he looked tired, so I don't know that that's a quote that he said that or whatever, but I would imagine that he's just kind of, I mean, at some point, if you've got enough money in the bank that you can live off of, why continue to torment yourself with this industry? It's a difficult industry. No, Mark was gone before I got there and I missed that, but it is legendary. And I have heard the stories, but it's pretty funny stuff. I don't know the answer to Len. Len was in Chicago, as I recall, but I haven't talked to him in ages. Roland might know. Oh my gosh. Englehart was the Burning Man Festival. Are you kidding me? That cracks me up. That doesn't surprise me, though. Yeah, 74. He's like 74. That's not that old. But I don't know. When I saw him, he looked worn out, man. I was just like, he looked like he wanted to be any place other than there. Yeah, and that's something that, somebody brought up. I was talking to Dave Olbrich. We were talking about crowdfunding before I did Wraith and everything. And one of the interesting things was that we were talking about characters that were in public domain. And one of the really cool characters from the Golden Age that's in public domain is the Black Terror. So I was seriously thinking about doing a Black Terror comic. So that'd be kind of cool. But, then at some point you're like, either do your own thing or, what's the point of, doing, even though it's public domain, it's still someone else's character, right? So it's kind of like, where's the value in that? And so I didn't do it, although I'm not saying I would never do it. But it'd be interesting to kind of just drop a Black Terror backup story in one of my comics. I could do it. But yeah, to answer your question, I love Doc Savage, huge Doc Savage fan. Loved the Marvel series back in the 70s, although it only went 8 issues. That I'm only interested in Doc Savage. Again, I'm such a visual person because I'm an artist, but the James Bama depiction with, that sort of, slick helmet hair or whatever you want to call it, which I guess they explained it as actually a helmet that Doc Savage wore on his head to protect his magnificent brain. But Doc Savage, the Shadow would be cool. Those are the two off the top of my head that would be technically classified as pulp heroes. But, John Carter of Mars, I'd love to do that if anyone would buy it. Unfortunately, I don't think anyone would. I'm not a big Tarzan guy. I never have been because Tarzan is too rooted in reality for me. I like the fantasy stuff more. But, Carson of Venus, Pellucidar, the center of the earth stories with any of that stuff. I love that stuff. Do I have any Bill Sienkiewicz stories? No. I know Bill sort of superficially. But other than that, no. Yeah, that's probably true. But the Man Thing is such an obvious ripoff of the Heap. It's kind of like, what's the difference, right? Someone at CG was working on Black Terror. Well, that wouldn't be as good as my version. I don't even know who would be working on it, but well, it's interesting because some of that stuff goes into public domain, but then there's other people own certain rights of their own versions of that character. Like, for example, Winnie the Pooh went into public domain recently, but Disney still owns their version of Winnie the Pooh, right? So, and that's the one everybody knows. So you could do a Winnie the Pooh story, but you're like, if it doesn't look like Disney's version, then does anybody really care? So, yeah, I'm sure Zorro has got like different sort of manifestations that we're probably more familiar with that are, somebody has copyright to. SDA says, hi, Aaron. Hi. Thanks for joining us. Vaughn is working on a Black Terror comic. I don't know who Vaughn is, but Solomon Kane is my favorite of the Robert E. Howard characters. Conan is my least favorite. My favorite is Solomon Kane. I think maybe I just like the hat. And he's sort of a Puritan monster hunter, right? So I kind of like that. Anything with a monster hunter, I'm in, right? And then Cole is my second favorite. And I loved King Cole because Cole was this barbarian who was put in charge of this kingdom. Well, he wasn't put in charge of it. He took charge of it. But then he took on the responsibility of he couldn't just be a barbarian anymore, right? He had the weight of the entire kingdom on him. And he was a responsible, noble barbarian character, if you will. Conan's a little bit more of a, he's a freebooter, right? And he's a thief and all these other things that you would imagine a barbarian would be. But Cole had that, had to weigh that the responsibilities of a king. And I just loved that about him. And that's why the first 10 issues of Cole that Marvel did in 1971 with the first issue was Ross Andrew, inked by Wally Wood. And if you haven't seen that, check it out. It's freaking awesome. And then John and Marie Sever, or Marie and John, Marie did the pencils and John inked, did the next 8 issues because 10 was Plug. But those are some of my favorite comics. When he was king, Now the sales on it weren't great, so they just turned him into a barbarian like Conan, and sales where he got even worse. So he was only interesting to me when he actually was king. But yeah, Solomon Kane is. There's a black and white magazine from the 70s called Cole and the Barbarians. It was 3 issues, and every issue has a Cole story, a Red Sonja story, Solomon Kane story, and the Solomon Kane story was by I just had his name, and same guy who drew my favorite Captain America story. Shoot, Alan Weiss drew it, and it was inked by Krusty Bunkers, which was Neil Adams and his crew. So it's really good stuff. And then the Red Sonja story was by Chaykin, and I can't remember who did the Cole stuff. But Cole and the Barbarians, it's a real inexpensive black and white magazine from the 70s. It's got some good stuff in it. So if you're into that, check that out. Well, the funny thing is with Zorro, I mean, Wraith of God practically is Zorro, so. Yeah. Dumb. I agree with you on that front right there. Yeah, actually it is. I cover her up more than most people do. But I mean, honestly, if you read the original books or the pulps, they were all running around naked. Everybody was. Kind of hard to do in mainstream comics, though. Yeah, I think the John Carter stuff. I love Sword and Sorcerer. I love that stuff. I mean, superheroes are my least favorite genre, and I do like superheroes a lot, obviously. But from an artist standpoint, and this is something I want to talk to Kelly Jones about too, and see if he feels the same way. But I always felt that horror comics or fantasy comics were much more conducive to an illustrative style, which I happen to have more of than a superhero style. I mean, if you look at that pinup back there of Garbage Man holding the girl, I mean, you can put that kind of detail and stuff, and it just seems so natural. And in putting really heavy blacks and a lot of shadow work, and you look at what I'm doing in Wraith with all the cross hatching and stuff like that. These period pieces, fantasy pieces, monster stuff, all feel like they lend themselves more to an illustrative style, Frazetta Wrights and Barry Smith, that type of thing, as opposed to, a style like Alan Davis or John Byrne, fits way better in superhero work. So, and I've always fancied myself as being this sort of more of an illustrator than a comic book artist. And so I always enjoyed being able to do illustrative work. And so that's what's always attracted me as an artist to those type of genres. There we go. Quoth the Raven with all the answers. Len teaches at Columbia College in Chicago. I mean, like I said, I know Bill very superficially. I've talked to him, numerous occasions. He knows who I am, which is always flattering. But other than that, occasional, hey, how you doing at a show is about it. Krakoa. I don't even know who Krakoa is. Maybe I do, and I'm just not putting the name with the visual. Vaughn is working on Black Terror. It'd probably be better than Dynamite version of the character. Probably. I don't know who Vaughn is off the top of my head. Maybe I should know. Sure. Brack the Barbarian. I got a few Brack paperbacks with the Frazetta covers on them. I've never read. I mean, I'm familiar with the lyric, but I haven't read any of this stuff, so I don't know what the his shtick would be. See, look at that. Look at all these things we have in common. Yeah, that has the, okay, here's a horror story for you. That cover, which was, that's a Plug story. That was issue number 10 of Cull. And it's when Thulsa Doom overthrows Cull from his throne. And it's, so Mike Plug did the cover. It's one of the great covers, comic covers of all time. So it has, Cull raising his axe up above his head, and he's in his throne or his bedroom, bedchamber, whatever. And he's fighting these, armed guards and things like that, and just hacking people up. But he's got this axe above his head, right? And the axe encroaches on the logo. Okay. So he turned the artwork in. Now, John Romita Sr. was art director. And instead of taking a stat of, he wanted the arm lowered because he didn't want the axe to obscure the logo. So instead of making a stat, which is a black and white copy, basically, of the cover, he took the original art, took an X-Acto knife and cut the arm with the axe out and then bent it down and glued it back on so it wouldn't cover up the cover. And I was at Plug's house back in the mid to late 90s, when he was living in Seattle. And he had that cover, which I think he's long since sold, but he had that cover hanging on his wall. And you could see where it was cut out, and he was still pissed about that. And I would be too, because there's no excuse for that. They could have easily made a stat of that and without screwing up the original artwork, but that's kind of the story there. But again, a lot of people, and John Romita Sr. was very much a, commercial art guy. And that was just, they didn't treat it as fine art or art. They just treated it as production art, right? And they did what they needed to do to make it work. So there you go. I've read 2 of those books. I remember they were kind of saucy. Boris Vallejo's covers were particular. That was like his sweet spot before he was like so married to photo reference that all this stuff got real stiff. Those Gore covers were dynamite. Let's see. That's true. The Solomon Kane movie, for a movie that never got released in America, was actually pretty good. I liked it. There's a shout out for the Marvel Black and White magazines. Yeah, like Tales of the Zombie and Monsters Unleashed. And then they also had the Kung Fu. What was the karate one with the, was it Master? It wasn't Master of Kung Fu. What was it called? But they had Master of Kung Fu stories and like Iron Fist stories and stuff. Like Rudy Nebres did some for that. I do, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Let's see what else we got here. That's it right there. Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. That's what it was. Yeah, she was actually the casting in that movie that I liked. I thought John Carter, the guy that played John Carter, was seriously lacked stature and charisma. And I think that was one of the things that really hurt that movie. If they had been able to get Hugh Jackman or somebody that was a bigger name and had more on-screen charisma, I think that movie would have worked really well because it was a good movie. But it was poorly promoted, just terribly promoted. And I don't think that guy was great for the lead. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Steve Ditko is a very odd bird. I like Killraven. In fact, I bought the Alan Davis miniseries there in the early 2000s that he did. I thought was really good. Although that 70s jumpsuit they put him in, I don't know about that. Let's see here. All right, dudes, I'm going to have to get rolling here. Okay, I wouldn't go that far. I read some of the early Taro Cabot books long ago. Started off like John Carter. I heard the series just kept doubling down on the weird adult kind of fantasies. Yeah, there was some saucy stuff in there. I don't remember it clearly because it's been a long, long, long time since I read it, but that is truth right there. All right, guys, I'm going to rock and roll. Hey, thank you all for joining me. We had actually a really good crowd tonight. Didn't really expect that much. I didn't expect to be on this long either. I was just going to talk a little bit and show some stickers, and but then we got some good conversation. You can get me talking about comic books, dudes. I can go all night. So, Joe, quickly, the guys that did the Sky Captain I know I didn't. Is that on YouTube or something? You know, there's a who's the animator? You know, prior to Chuck Jones, the somebody help me out here. Bright Raven, I know you know. Not Tex Avery, but was it Tex Avery? No, not Tex Avery, but the other Warner Brothers guy. He did a screen. There's a screen test floating around on YouTube for a John Carter series that he was doing back in the 30s. It's really kind of cool, but it never got off the ground. But there's like a short clip, I think, floating around YouTube. Fleischman. No, not Fleischer. Yeah. Was it Fleischer? Oh, I can't remember. But anyway, one of those guys. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. We're bored. No CG people are streaming. So I had to come in and save the day. Oh, my goodness. Again, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And remember to check out the professionals tomorrow night. Thursday, Andy Smith is hosting. And then Sunday, I'll have Kelly Jones on. So that should be a really good show, too. And Shelley Showtime. So make sure you join us for those. And we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody. Thanks.